The first Avengers movie in 2012 will live on as a piece of cinematic history, and it kicked off a conflict that wouldn't be resolved until Avengers Endgame hit theaters 7 years later. But as we look to the future of the MCU, it certainly seems pretty Avenger-less, especially after learning what's in store for Phase 4. We know the roster is a bit sparse at the moment, but is this the end of the Avengers? The Avengers started out with an all-star roster including Iron Man, Captain America, Black Widow, Hawkeye, Thor, and the Incredible Hulk. Their ranks swelled over the years as they made the acquaintance of new, powerful, and righteous heroes. And they had a little bit of a setback during the Infinity Saga. By the time Endgame was over, we had lost Vision, Black Widow, Iron Man, and for all intents and purposes, Captain America. He's still around, of course, he's just not the spring chicken he used to be. During the 2019 San Diego Comic-Con, we were excited to hear the latest announcements from Marvel Studios involving the fourth phase of films set to be released in the coming years. Per usual, Marvel kept us waiting until the last possible minute before cluing us in, and while we were excited by the roster, we noticed some old friends were missing, namely the Avengers. Well, the obvious answer to why wasn't Avengers 5 announced would be that it's hard to have an Avengers movie without any Avengers. Seriously, Natasha Romanoff was the only one keeping them together following the decimation, and she's long gone, along with most of her former allies. But don't lose hope, Avengers fans. We may have suffered some setbacks, but we're not out yet. Marvel Studios head Kevin Feige announced we won't be getting an Avengers film in Phase 4, but one is coming. It's just a ways away. It turns out the end of the Infinity Saga wasn't the end of the Avengers, but the new team may be one we don't recognize. Feige announced the Avengers will be a very different team than we've seen before, and added that it'll be a very different incarnation of the team with some people you've already met and some you haven't met. That's one of those classic vague yet compelling Marvel Studios statements we just can't get enough of. And really, a revolving Avengers roster is something comic book fans are quite used to. Already, the MCU version of this famous superhero team is different than the founders in the comic books, who included Ant-Man and the Wasp. And we're talking about the Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne Ant-Man and the Wasp here, not Scott Lang and Hope Van Dyne. In fact, in the comics, Janet was the one who thought of calling them the Avengers in the first place, while in the MCU, it was Nick Fury. The short answer to why isn't there an Avengers movie in Phase 4 is because there are too few Avengers left. But that's not the whole answer. Marvel needs time to build up a new team of superheroes before they can pull off another massive collaboration like they did in 2012. That means introducing a new cast to audiences and figuring out ways to fit these characters together, something that grows increasingly difficult as less Earthbound heroes are incorporated into the MCU. Feige did mention the team will include some heroes we already know, and although we've suffered some losses, there are plenty of heroes around. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness was announced for Phase 4, and this movie will heavily feature not just our favorite smug superhero Surgeon, but also the Scarlet Witch. Both of these characters have been members of the Avengers in the comics along with their fellow heroes Black Panther, Spider-Man, and Captain Marvel, who are still around, but none of them are getting films in Phase 4. Let's talk about the heroes we're going to see in Phase 4, and which ones might make it into the new and exciting Avengers lineup. The first movie of Phase 4 is going to be Black Widow, which takes place following the events of Captain America Civil War. But since Natasha's time with the Avengers has definitely ended, let's move on. Next up, we have The Eternals, a movie many of us are quite excited about. These comic book characters aren't as well known as heroes like Iron Man and Captain America, but that might actually end up being a good thing. Because audiences have less preconceived notions about them, it gives Marvel Studios some more freedom with their personalities and plot lines. In the comic books, the Eternals have a history of working with the Avengers to keep the Earth safe. Then there's Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, which is coming out in 2021. Shang-Chi is a martial arts master who spends most of his time on planet Earth and has been an Avenger in the past. And while Thor is still around, the movie Thor: Love and Thunder will introduce Mighty Thor, aka Jane Foster. We can't wait to see what kind of hero she becomes, and could definitely see her incorporated into the Avengers. There's also a member we've seen before as a child in the movie Captain Marvel. Monica Rambeau is all grown up now, and she'll be appearing in the Disney Plus streaming show WandaVision. In the comics, she's been known as Photon, Pulsar, and Spectrum, and she's not only been a member of the Avengers, she's been a leader. There's also Kate Bishop, who becomes a hero known as Hawkeye. We know the Disney Plus streaming service will include a show called Hawkeye about Clint Barton training Kate Bishop, so we expect her to be canon in the MCU pretty soon. Between the new streaming shows and the movies, it's possible we could see more than one Avengers team. and there are clearly tons of great candidates to choose from. We know there are limitless options for the new Avengers, and we want to hear from you. Tell us about your Avengers dream team in the comments section below, and then click on that subscribe button for more videos from us here at CBR. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next time.